Hi, I'm Jo from J.H.Leather, and in this video I'm going to talk to you all about branded stamps. Let's get started. So I've had a number of different branded stamps made up. This is the first set that I got. So as you can see, they're made from brass. They were CNC machined with the J.H.Leather stamp logo in there. And they did come with a rounded top when I got them. So I sawed that off because it was making it hard to hit. Because these are stamps that you hit like so. And I never really had much luck with them. The smaller one was very good, and as you can see, I'm going to get good results from it here. But for what I was using and what I had at the time, I should have just had the small one rather than the big one. Because as you can see, the big stamp, if you're hitting it with a hammer, it's quite uneven, especially when you compare it to that little stamp there. And that's just because of how big the stamp area is. So we're going to stamp these both again now onto some shoulder leather. This is 2 to 2.5mm bridal shoulder, so it's a bit harder than that first theft that we had. And as you can see, the smaller stamp has done pretty well here, but again the bigger stamp is quite hard to see, it's quite faint. So another option that you can do is to try and wet the leather down a bit. So with bridal leather you want to wet it from the back because that's the more absorbent side. And again, as you can see, the same issues, it's very uneven, and that is just because it is a stamp that you have to hit with a hammer. So moving on from that, a little while later I got this Polymer stamp made up. It was made by the same people, but this time with a circle logo. So this is an inch stamp here, and again it's one that you hit with a hammer, and I did have a lot more luck with this one, but the problem that I had with it, as you can see, it's bouncing, so it was really hard to still use it. So I have sort of soldiered on with it, as it were. And again here on the bridal leather, as you can see, the second stamp I did, which was the one that I showed in the video, come out well, but the one below it, you can see it's uneven, and that's just because you haven't hit it with a hammer. You got to hit it straight on, and it's quite hard to do. Now this stamp here is a stamp that I actually got made up for another company, and the logo on it isn't great, and I did tell them that because of just how flat it is, and we were going to, they wanted it just for like branding some of their own stuff, which we didn't end up going through with in the end. But this one was made up by a book binding company, and basically you heat it up because they wanted embossing. So you heat it up, and the idea was that they would have gold or silver embossing on their items, but as it's just too intricate, this stamp is, it was just coming out as a blob. So we didn't go ahead with that one in the end. But as you can see, basically you heat this up and then you pop it on, so it's a bit easier to use than the other tools, and I think if it wasn't as such an intricate design, it would be a very good option to use also, because you've got a lot more control over this whole thing. So this is the newest stamp that I have. I got a pair of these from the same person on Etsy, and they are CNC machined out of brass. They also have this little socket on the back, so the guy actually sells handles that you can get with for them as well if you want to use them more as a branding, and just sort of roll them on like we did in the last stamp. So these ones are made for like a press machine. So this is just a 1-ton arbor press that I got online for about £60, and it's got this rod in it, and you basically put the stamp under the rod and push that down, and as you can see, that has come out very well on this thin leather here. So we'll then try it with our longer stamp as well. Now because this machine that I've got has just got the one sort of rod straight down the middle, for the longer stamp we got to move it around a bit. It's best to make sure that we get a good even embossing once we are finished. And this machine is still quite new, which is why it's still wrapped in plastic and not attached properly to the table. But as you can see, that one again has come out really nice onto this thin leather here. So I did a stamp onto some bridal shoulder as I have with the other ones, and that came out quite well. And I'm now going to do the same again on a wet piece of leather just to see if there is any difference. Also, you can see here I've put it onto another piece of leather. I saw on another channel, Harry Rogers, that he does this, and it just allows the stamp to sort of get more of an impression, which I think actually turned out quite well. But another good thing about these stamps is you can heat them up. So I've heated this one up here, and I'm just trying not to burn my fingers as I put it on to the leather here, and then we're just going to emboss this as we have before. Now, by heating this up, it's like heating sort of your crease up. You're going to get a better embossing, and it's going to last for longer because it is hot. It's going to imprint into the leather better, and I'm just moving it around and getting it nice and even here with the rod. And so this is the final embossing on that one, and that one's actually come out really well, and I was really impressed with this. Also, I was so impressed with these stamps, I actually bought another one, which is in the post now. So that's how much I like them. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos and tutorials, and I'll see you in the next episode.